We're
Good.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, let's look at your questions on the homework that I passed back to you. This was the 3.5 and 3.6, if you have any. 3.5 and 3.6. Any questions on those?
I wanted to use my calculator as a off or something because, like, for problem 40 that I got wrong, I used my calculator and it said I was wanting to use it as a.
Well, maybe you need to repunch it and make sure that you're punching it correctly. Yeah.
3 to 40?
There was 40 on both 3.5 and 3.6.
Right. On my
The
notebook,
one
I only
she
wrote
handed back.
3.5.
On the one I handed back.
On the one she handed back. The
Yeah.
homework she handed back.
Okay, let's look at 3.7, the percent problems. Any questions on 3.7? Any questions?
Or 16. That's not good.
Okay, so which one, Lincoln?
I said 14.
14 and 16? Okay, on 14, we're to set up an equation. What number is 82% of 215? And since the variable is already by himself, all I'm doing is punching 82 times 215 divided by 100, and the answer is 176.3. On 16, 189 is 90% of what number? So here we will use a reciprocal to clean up the variable. This will cancel. And then we'll just again punch 100 divided or times 189 divided by 90. And the answer is 210. What else? Any others? Okay, let's go to turning those in, and we're going to do quiz 8 now. So get out a sheet of paper and head it, quiz 8. And this will be out of your book. It's on page 173. Numbers 2, 4, 6, 12, and 14. So as soon as you're ready, you may open that up and begin. Okay, we're gonna need to wrap it up. Give you a couple more minutes.
Excuse me.
Okay, we're gonna have to go ahead and exchange papers. And so, exchange papers please, and we're going to look at each one. So we'll start with number 2. Number 2 requires a crossover, so we'll add 3x, and we'll have 5x minus 14 equals 6. We'll add 14 and get 5x equals 20. Then when we divide by 5, x is 4. Okay, any question on that one? Number 4. Okay, first we'll do the distributive property. So that will equal 7m minus 7. Then we'll put the like terms together on the left side. So we'll have 3m plus 5. And then we'll cross over. And then we'll clean up. So when we divide by -4, it would be +3. M equals 3. Question on that one. Okay, number 6. First thing we'll do is this distributive property. And then we'll put the like terms together on the left side. And then we'll cross multiply. Cross over, and then we will clean it up. So the answer comes out -5. Okay, question on that one. Number 12. Okay, we'll cross down. 14 times 18 is 252. When we cross up, we have 12 times W plus 11. And I'll do that distributive property. 12 times W, 12 times 11. 12 times 11 is 132. Then we'll subtract. Just do a 2-step cleanup. And when we divide by 12, the answer comes out 10. Question on that one. And then finally, number 14. Cross down, it'll be 10 times 2k minus 3 equals 17k. So then I'll do the distributive property. We'll have 20k minus 30 equals 17k. So I'm going to cross over to get the k's together. And then when I divide by -3, it comes out +10 for the answer. Question on 14. Okay, make any corrections that need to be made and then return those to the owner. Any questions on any of the procedures? Okay. No? Okay, pass your papers in, please. Today, we're going to do a topic that is related to percent, but it's different. It's called the percent of change. Now we'll have a definition to begin about what percent of change is. Percent of change is how much a quantity increases or decreases with respect to the original amount. And there are two types of percent of change. There is percent increase and percent decrease. Percent increase is when the new amount is greater than what you started with. Let's just say the original amount. The new amount is greater than the original amount. Percent decrease is when the new amount is less than the original amount, so that the quantity is decreasing. But the most important part of all of this is the formula that I'm going to give you to calculate the percent of change. And it goes like this. The percent of change, which we often call P%, is a fraction, the large minus the small over the original number times 100. We will use this formula for all of our problems today. Pardon me?
Is it still recording?
I think it is.
Did it turn off?
Did it turn off?
I think it might have, but if it did,
Might have went to sleep.
Because the screen black.
The screen went down, but I figured it was still recording.
screen right there. I like screen.
It's still going.
Can you tell?
I think
It
it's
is
still
a
going
little-
because the
There's
lights
a
are
little light green mark
Right.
that's still going.
Yeah, I think it's still good. Hi, Jake. I want you to understand this. Okay, and so with that in mind, and I'm going to rewrite this over on the corner so you can see it, I want to do some types of problems. There are two kinds that we work on, and so I'm going to erase this, but I'm going to recopy it up here a little bit smaller and just abbreviate. So this is how you calculate percent of change. You take the large number minus the small number, divide by the original number, and multiply by 100. I want to show you how to do both kinds of problems. The first kind, we're just finding percent of change. One example would be, find the percent of change as an increase or decrease, and identify the p%. Example number 1, the original number is 140. The new number is 189. Now, is that an increase or a decrease? That's an increase. So when it says identify whether it is increase or decrease, you have decided it's an increase. But to find the p%, you subtract the two numbers and you take the large one minus the small, so that would be 189 minus 140, over the original one, which would be 140, and then you multiply by 100. You do all of this on the calculator. So, take 189 minus 140, punch equals, and then divide by 140, punch equals, and then multiply times 100. And it comes out 35%. Now, this is what we call percent of change. There has been a percent increase from 140 to 189 of 35%. Let me show you a decrease problem. The original is 70. The new one is 59.5. Now see, it's gone down. So this is a decrease problem. But you calculate the percent of change the same. You subtract the big one minus the little over the original, and then you multiply times 100. Again, just do it all on the calculator, and this one comes out 15%. So that is a 15% decrease from 70 to 59.5. This is the first kind of problem. You're going to do a lot of these in your homework and also on some extra problems I'm going to give you. But this is not the only thing that you can do with this. Let me go to letter B. Sometimes you'll be given the percent increase or decrease and one of the numbers, either the original one or the new one, and they'll ask you to find the other amount. We just call it finding the missing amount. And this is where your algebra will really come in handy. Let's take this example. Find the sale price of the jeans whose original price was $48, but they were discounted 40%. Now, sale prices are a wonderful example of percent decrease. This is a decrease problem because the P is 40%, but the original was 48, and they want me to find what the sale was, what the sale price was. So it's decreasing. It's going from $48, you're taking some amount off, and I'm going to find what the sale price is. But you still follow the same formula. P percent, 40%, equals the large minus the small. It's just that I don't know what the small is. So put an X. And then the original is 48. And we multiply by 100. So you follow the same formula. And we're going to calculate what the X is. Okay, so actually, let me erase this. You don't need this symbol. That's just going to get in the way. I'm just going to let it be 40. Now, what would you suggest I do to get the X alone? It's got a lot of stuff around it. It's got this 48, it's got this 100, it's got this other 48. What do I need to do to get some of that stuff off? What would you suggest? You don't have a suggestion. Okay, what we're going to do, let's start with a reciprocal. Okay, let's get this 100 and this 48 off of there by putting the 100 underneath and the 48 up top. I have to do it on both sides. That'll cancel this one and this one and really help a lot. Now it's only 48 minus X on the right side. And over here, I'm going to punch this 48 times 40 divided by 100, and I have, let's see, make sure I did that right, times 40 divided by 100, and it comes out 19.2. Next, still trying to get the X alone. So I'm going to subtract the 48. Now notice that that still leaves a negative on the X. It has the subtract X. On this side, it would be negative 28.8. But I don't want negative X, I want positive X. So I'll divide by -1 for my last step. And the sale price of those jeans, if they take 40% off, is $28.80. It's a pretty good sale. Now make sure you understand my algebra. Any question about how I did the reciprocal or how I subtracted 48 or anything about that? No? Okay, let me show you another one. It's example 2. That was a decrease problem. Let me do an increase problem. We're going to increase 14 by 45% to find the new amount. So we know the P% is 45. We know the original number is 14. I'm trying to increase it, so I don't know what the new number is, the increased number. I'm just going to call it X. But what I'm doing here is I'm increasing. So, setting it up with the formula, we say 45 equals, now here it's the large minus the small. If this is an increase, which one is the larger? The one I don't know or the one I do know? The one you don't know. So you do it like this. Now look here, this one was the other way around because this was a decrease problem. Increase problem, the X comes first because it'll be the larger of the two. And then that goes underneath because it was the original. So it's original minus new, old, or large minus small over the original, and then times.
14 was the original.
That is correct. It is. Increase 14. Well, yeah. So it's, sorry, I'm getting myself mixed up. We divide by 14 because 14 is the original. You are right. Okay, and I multiply by 100. That's part of the process. So once again, let's just use a reciprocal to get at least part of this off. We'll put the 100 underneath. We'll put the 14 up top. Over here as well. And so that helps a lot. That gets a lot of that stuff off of my X minus 14. And over here, I can just punch this and it comes out 6.30. 14 times 45 divided by 100. Now all I have to do is add 14 to find X. But X is already positive, so I don't have to worry about dividing by negative. This would be 20.30. So when 14 is increased by 45%, you get 20.30. These are the harder ones in my opinion because the algebra is a little tricky. Okay, open up your book please to page 183. And let's investigate these directions. For the first part of your assignment, I'm just going to have you do 7 problems out of the book. On page, what did I say? 183. We're going to start with number 2 and go through 14. We're only going to do the evens. So that's just 7 problems. Look at the first ones. Identify the percent of change as an increase or decrease, and then find the percent of change. Now these are like the first ones I did for you. You got the original number, you have the new number, decide if it's increase or decrease, and then fit all of that into the formula and crank it out. But number 8 and number 10 are the newer kind, this B kind, where you know the percent of increase and you know one of the numbers, but you don't have the other one. So you find it. One is an increase, one is a decrease. And then number 12 is just a word problem, but it's similar to what I did here. And then number 14, also the same. They're just real life problems. And then to go with that, because that's not very much, you're going to do this one, this worksheet, but only the evens. Now there's a front and a back on this, and we're going to do 2 through 24 even on this worksheet. But before I let you get started on it, I want to do number 1. Notice that there is a front and a back on it. But in fact, let me do number 1, which is an increase, and let me do number 5, which is a decrease, just so you can see both types of problems. You can write these down right on the worksheet if you want to. That way you can have something to look at to do the other ones. This says, find each percent change to the nearest percent, state if it is increase or decrease. So if we're doing number 1, we're going from 45 feet to 92 feet. So is that an increase or a decrease? It's an increase, okay. So over here on the side, just write, all right, this is an increase. They want me to find the percent of change, so I'll follow the formula. P% equals large minus small over the original times 100. We'll punch it. 92 minus 45 equals, divided by 45 equals, times 100. And they're wanting us to round this. I'm getting 104.4. I'm just going to put 104%, because we're going to round these according to the directions to the nearest percent. So that would be an increase problem. Now let's look at number 5. And it's a decrease because it's going from 94 to 34. So over here on the side, they want me to tell whether it's an increase or decrease, and then find the percent of change. So it's the large minus the small over, but this time the original is the large one, times 100. And then we'll just punch it. So it's 94 minus 34 equals, divided by 94 equals, times 100. And this one, it's coming out 63.8. This one I will round to 64. They want us to round to the nearest percent. So that's how you do all 12 of these. Don't forget there's some on the back. Okay. Any questions on percent of change? Okay, we don't have very much time left, so I won't have you drag out all your papers and everything, but you can be packing up and putting your book away. And we'll go ahead and figure out how to turn it off.
Oh, there's just a code, so I'll turn it off.
Oh, there's a password, huh?
Yeah.